Okay guys, I think we have started the PPRA rule, and now we will we will study the corrupt and fraudulent practices and respect of procurement process, and shall be either one or any combination of the practices will be considered the corrupt and fraudulent practice. So we have five categories that will be considered the corrupt and fraudulent practice. The first one is coercive practice. That what does it mean? We have discussed this, and that what will be considered the coercive practice, which means that any impairing or harming or threatening to impair or to harm directly or indirectly any party of the party or the property of the party, to influence the action of the party to achieve the here you see here, yes, here, party to achieve wrongful gain or to cause wrongful loss to another party. So this means that the action that involve impairing, harming or threatening to impair or harm any party or their properties either directly or indirectly. So these actions are intended to influence the behavior of the party and the procurement process to achieve wrongful gain or cause wrongful loss to another party. Clear? The second one, yes, this is collusive practice, which means that any arrangement between two or more parties to the procurement process designed to stifle open competition for any wrongful gain or to establish prices at artificial non-competitive level. This means that arrangement made between two or more parties involves in the procurement process, and these arrangements are designed to stifle open competition and manipulate the procurement process for wrongful gain. So collusive practice upon involve agreement to set prices at artificial non-competitive level, thereby undermining the principle of the fair competition and transparency. For example, let me give you an example. Let's suppose we have a government agency is soliciting bids for the construction project. If two construction company collide to agree on artificially inflated price before submitting their bids, this would be considered a collusive practice. By doing so, they manipulate the competitive bidding process to their advantage, potentially leading to a wrongful gain for the colliding parties and a loss for the agency. Similarly, if a supplier threatens to harm the property of a competitor unless they withdraw from the bidding process, this would constitute a coercive practice aimed at influencing the outcome of the procurement process. Both scenarios would be considered corrupt and fraudulent practice under the terms or the definition according to the rules. Okay, now the third and the fourth one is wait, let me show you, is corrupt practice and fraudulent practice. Here you see corrupt practice and fraudulent practice. So which means that offering, giving, receiving or soliciting directly, indirectly of anything of value to influence the act of another party for wrongful gain. This means that offering, giving, receiving or soliciting directly or indirectly of anything of values with the intention to influence the action of another party for wrongful gain. This can include bribery, kickbacks, and any other form of inducement aimed at gaining an unfair advantage in the procurement process. The fourth one is fraudulent practice, which means that any act or omission, including misrepresentation, that knowingly or recklessly mislead or attempt to mislead a party to obtain financial or other benefits or to avoid an obligation. Clear? So this encompasses any act or omission, including misrepresentation, that knowingly or recklessly mislead or attempt to mislead a party involved in the procurement process. The intention behind fraudulent practice is to obtain the financial or other benefits or to avoid fulfilling obligation. So this can include submitting the false information, forging the documents, or engaging in the deceitful behavior to manipulate the procurement process. For example, let me give you an example. Let's say if a contractor offers a government official a bribe in exchange for awarding them the contract, this would be considered a corrupt practice. Similarly, if a supplier submit falsified documents to mislead the procuring agency about their qualification or capabilities with the intention of securing the contract, so this would be classified as the fraudulent practice. Both scenarios involve action that aim to unfairly influence the procurement process for personal or organizational gain, and they are prohibited under the defined rule. Clear? And the last, we have obstructive practice. Yes, which means obstructive practice, which means harming or threatening to harm directly or indirectly person to influence their participation in the procurement process or affect the execution of the contract. So this means that harming or threatening to harm individual either directly or indirectly with the intention of influencing the participation in the procurement process or affecting the execution of the contract. For example, if a vendor threatens or intimidates potential bidders or contractor, to dissuade them from participating in a bidding process, meaning they just want to make them clear that they have not to participate in the bidding process, and this would constitute the obstructive practice. Similarly, if a contractor threaten the subcontractor or workers to disrupt the execution of contracts, such as action would also fall under the definition of the obstructive practice. So these behavior undermines the transparency and the competitiveness of the procurement process and are considered unacceptable according to the defined rules. Clear? So we have five action that will be considered the fraud and will be considered the corrupt and fraudulent practice. The first one we have discussed that was the coercive practice, which I told you that when someone threatened to harm the party or their property to influence their action for wrongful gain. Let's say, take the example of NHA, National Highway Authority. Okay, so a supplier might threaten to delay the delivery of construction material to the NHA unless they receive the additional payment. This is the coercive practice, and that will be considered under the rules as a wrong thing. Then collusive practice, we have done this, and this is when two or more parties secretly agree to limit open competition for wrongful gain. For example, two construction company might agree to bid high prices, let's say for the CDA project, like Capital Development Authority, limiting competition, ensuring high profit. Then we discuss the corrupt practices. This involves offering, giving, receiving, or soliciting anything of value to influence the action of another party for wrongful gain. For example, a contractor might offer a bribe to NHA official to win a contract. Then the fourth one we discuss the fraudulent practices. This is when a party knowingly or recklessly mislead another party to obtain a benefit or avoid an obligation. For example, a contractor might misrepresent their capability to the CDA to win a contract. And then the last we discussed obstructive practices. This involves harming or threatening to harm a person or to influence their participation and the procurement process or affect the execution of a contract. For example, a company might threaten to the competitor worker to prevent them from participating in the NHA project. So this is the wrong things, and these action will be considered corrupt and fraudulent according to the rules, the PPRA rules. Okay, thank you.